Hi, Sagittarius Sun and Rising. Welcome to your June 2023 Astro Update. It's Rena here. I have the Sun in Sag myself, so this is our forecast. And this is another eventful month where there is a lot happening. We're coming off of eclipse season for Sag. This has been 12th house matters, and those kinds of things always kind of stir the pot because the pot of emotions because the 12th house is a water house and full moons. This is like that was like a full moon on steroids. And the whole idea of that occurring in the sign of Scorpio, which can be about secrets being revealed and things like that. It's kind of like June is not really taking a breather, but it's hopefully going to be a little bit less intense. And another thing too is we had in April we had that solar eclipse in Aries, and that fell in the fifth house for Sag. So for some of you, you might have actually met this person that really kind of took your breath away, or maybe it was love at first sight. But if you already had a relationship going on at that time, obviously that could have created a lot of complications. And so, at the time of every full moon, the sun is in the opposite sign and opposite house. Well, this full moon in Sag, 13 degrees of Sag, the first house for us, is opposing the sun in the seventh house of committed partnership. So this could be, realizing something that has to do with you as it pertains to another. And yes, relationship issues can come out. But what I'm trying to say is that based on that eclipse a couple of months ago, and even the one in May, this may be just kind of the fallout from that. And so this is something that you have to kind of a truth about yourself, about your situation that you have to face, perhaps. This can put you in the spotlight and, other people seeing you, because there could be this awareness when the full moon is in the first house, but you become very visible. Something could be ending in your life. Something, maybe it's a very significant thing, and maybe your life is about to change because of this ending. On the 5th, Venus goes into Leo. Well, that's a nice angle, and certainly that is also nice because it's in the 9th house, which is the house of Sag. So for those of you who have plans to travel and you're single, this could be meeting somebody in another country and falling in love. Even if you're staying put, this could be a romance with somebody from a different ethnicity or even race, because the 9th house is about broad-mindedness, expansion. So expansion even of your values or your, everything, what it is that you stand for. And that can include love, like that you have no stipulations, that you're open to love from anyone. This can be money that you receive from some kind of spiritual endeavor or religious endeavor. It can also be money from publishing. On the 11th, Pluto goes back into Capricorn. This is the first of two times when Pluto is going to do that. And when that happens, money issues can come back into the forefront. Now, I don't think, it's kind of funny because I would ask you if your finances have improved in the last few months, because it just seems like there were some good things that happened, and it was right at that time when Pluto was in the last degrees of Capricorn and then when it went into Aquarius. So, I mean, obviously we all have different charts, but I'm just saying as a whole, just curious. So, I don't necessarily think that this is going to have a negative effect, especially since Pluto is retrograde. This may be more internalized because of the retrograde, and really like the shadow work around money for Sag. And it's completely possible, as far as I'm concerned, that this is prepping you for being able to accept more wealth in your life. There is that possibility where, because Pluto in the second house can confer wealth. And sometimes people, you know how they say money burns a hole in your pocket, because some people don't feel deserving of money. And I think that's one of the reasons why they just spend it like on stupid things. And, like also people who win the lottery and then they blow it in a short period of time because they don't feel like that this is something that they identify with, as somebody who has money. So these are the second house can be your values and your self-worth. So really look at this, utilize this time to do that shadow work as it pertains to material resources, because this is especially important if you are a Sag who works in any kind of a spiritual entrepreneurial situation. And I just had somebody write to me, and maybe I was being a little bit aggressive, but they said to me, "Do you ever do free readings?" And I rarely get asked that question. When I first started, I did do some free readings. I mean, personal readings. I did, probably just several altogether. I can't remember the number, but I really considered when I first started out as my apprenticeship. So when the person asked me that the other day or yesterday, I said, "Yeah, my YouTube videos are free." And I said, "Do you do work for free?" And the thing is, it's like when we are in this type of spiritual um, way of making, area, money becomes a little bit tricky, and I do feel that some people who are in this same line of work, they have no qualms about it, but I do think that we have to stay at a high level in integrity, and also not be greedy and those kinds of things. And I think there is such a thing as greed. I really do, even in the New Age community. So um, it all is something to explore and unpack, for sure. On the same day, on this again, this is the 11th when Pluto goes back into Capricorn. Mercury goes into Gemini, and so Mercury goes into that seventh house. There could be, this could be some kind of negotiation for a divorce or other legal settlement, and that's why Mercury, because you did have Mars here for 7 months in Gemini. So Mars can indicate conflict or some kind of a fight or activity, and this could be the legal realm. Or even, with a significant other. I was a little bit nervous that I would be like engaged in months-long fighting with my significant other, but he and I weathered the storm. And anyway, we're both Sagittarius, but these are our solar charts, not our natal charts. So anyway, on the 17th, Saturn goes retrograde at 7 degrees I put 7 degrees, 13 minutes, but I didn't say what sign it was. Well, obviously it's Pisces. And that's a mutable sign. So for Sag, that is falling in one of the angular houses. In this case, this is the fourth house of home and family. Saturn entered Pisces in March, and this area of the fourth house is the domestic side of life. We could also say childhood, the past, and the mother in particular. Some people say the father. I like to say family of origin, so I refer to either parent. And Saturn is all about duty, a sense of responsibility, added responsibilities. For some of you, and this has nothing to do with age, this could be the next few years, the time when you buy your first home. Maybe you're in your 50s and you're buying your first home. Certainly for Sag, that could be the case. I remember, I don't know, maybe 20 years ago, I used to say, why would anybody want to buy a house? Because that was a time when, people were buying houses when I was like around 30 or in my 30s. And I just thought that was the most bizarre thing. And now I'm like, I totally get it. But back then, I just had, and I wasn't that young when I thought those things. Well, that's a Sag kind of thing to think because we associate home with a lot of responsibilities that don't make us feel free. So Saturn is not going to make us feel free because Saturn is like that parent who is constantly on you to ship up or shape out. Shape up or ship out. And so, so having discipline, having a sense of organization, which means that you have some kind of method that you're going to employ to achieve your goals. You're not just blindly wishing for something. So in this case, if you want a house, you have to have a strategy. If you don't have the money right now, how are you going to get it? Where do you want to live? All of these things. And, Saturn crystallizes things and materializes things. So now Saturn is retrograding. So this brings us back to ourselves and what it is that we really want. And we might have to rework something if it hasn't been going the way that we wanted. If you have been taking care of a parent, this might be a time of it easing up for a while. And maybe you won't feel as burdened. Not saying anything negative, but just like you don't have any free time because you're working and you're taking care of a parent. Saturn will be retrograding until November 4th. And then the very next day, the 18th, we have a new moon at 26 degrees of Gemini. Again, this opposite sign, so new beginnings in the house of partnership. And this is also the house of public relations. So in 2024, Jupiter is going to go into Gemini. So Jupiter is going to go into this area next year. And if you are somebody who is trying to promote yourself, this can be a very good period of time, but this might be kind of a taste of what's to come. On the 21st, the summer solstice in the northern hemisphere, at least, is at 9:57 a.m. Central Standard Time. This is simply when the sun goes into Cancer. And this is supposed to be a very high vibe time. I always love the idea of the summer solstice. I don't love the idea of losing light, but you got to take the good with the bad, right? So it's definitely a power period where there's, a lot of stuff going on, energy at the time of the sun entering a cardinal sign. So you may find that, or we all may find that we start to have more things coming out and occurring. On the 26th, Mercury goes into Cancer. Oh, and I should say that for Sag, Cancer is the eighth house, which is so this the sun going into the eighth house is this place of more of the shadow work, the inner work, the psychological, the occult. So this is a place that Sag actually may have an affinity for, because it can be about astrology and the tarot and metaphysics and things like that. Mercury going there on the 26th, it could be studying some kind of inner alchemy, maybe shamanism or what have you. On the 30th, Neptune goes retrograde. Well, Neptune is also in Pisces, has been for years. So this is that fourth house again. And when Neptune goes retrograde, it can take the blinders off. So something that you were maybe delusional about kind of smacks you in the face, metaphorically speaking, and you have to face the truth about something. And it could relate to your childhood. It could relate to one of your parents or your home. Something that you thought was true is not. And you have to, face that. But it's really a good thing. And now that we have Saturn there, and Saturn is retrograding, Saturn can come up with new strategies. So, if you realize this dream home that you had bought is not what you thought it was, then you are able to regroup and do something else. Okay, well, that's what I have for you, Sag. I hope that this resonated. If you would like a private reading, consider my double readings, because they're not only a value in terms of economics, they're, I don't know how to say that, but they're double readings. So I have one that's double astrology called Deep Dive, an hour of natal chart analysis, and an hour of transits from whatever period of time you order from, until a year later, like looking at some of the big things that are happening and how does it impact you personally. But really, I love doing the natal chart interpretation, even more than transits. But I do both of them in that reading. And then the whole enchilada is a full-length tarot reading with a natal chart interpretation. So you can find out more information at the link below. I'm at RainaMoonAstrology.com. Thanks for listening. Have a great month. Bye.